Welcome to Trains Around Scotland for March 2024. Wasting no time, let's get right into the action. And well, what a tight call to start off the month at Cambuslang on the 4th, with a near miss bowlage for the UTU test train, working 3Q61, the 1905 from Moss End to Kings Park via Palmedy, ex-EMR liveried 43274 and ex-cross country 43357 would work this train, passing at 1936. Then after reversal at Newton, this is Kirkhill around 2047, 43357 now leading. The day after on the 5th, and since June of 2022, the Elderslie Intermodal Terminal had been dormant of any freight flows. However, on this day, a train would start as 4S54 from Crewe Basford Hall to Moss End, and then form 4D17, the 2135 from Moss End to Elderslie, 66503 and the empty rake of IKA double flat wagons. This is Paisley Gilmer Street at 2224. The second and last day of the trial would start in the morning of the 6th, but first would be 6R46, the 0710 from Grangemouth to Prestwick loaded aviation fuel, 7804 working the train through Hillington West at 0904. Then would be the main attraction, 4D12, the 0855 from Elderslie to Grangemouth Docks, the train being loaded heads through Hillington West at 0914, 66503 still in charge. The site at Elderslie may be seeing a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, as Freightliner are running this trial train to Elderslie to test the waters for a possible up and coming flow that would work off of 4S49 and 4M30 with one run out to Elderslie and back in one day. However, back to the trial train itself, and this is now Baillieston at 0945. And now at Grangemouth, just after where the OHLE currently goes to, and this is the entrance to Grangemouth Docks where 66503 draws to the terminal. The lines at Grangemouth Dock have not seen use since the end of the old 4A13 Grangemouth to Aberdeen flow, and 4M43 the Saturdays only to Daventry. Freightliner are looking into using the Grangemouth docks to escape the high running costs of using the DB terminal Grangemouth TDG, where 4M34 Freightliner is currently loaded. And this picture here shows in beneath the M9 bridges where the Grangemouth TDG terminal would be, and off to the right is Faldub's signal box, which is still in use to this day. And now on that same day it is off to Greenfalls to see a train that would use the Grangemouth TDG terminal, being 4S99 the 0426 from Teesdock to Grangemouth TDG, 66207 in charge, still wearing its full EWS colours, passing at 11:30. The action wouldn't be stopping there though on the 6th, as later on that night and we are back at Paisley Gilmer Street for first the return of the Prestwicks, now 6N47, the 1712 from Prestwick BP sidings back to Grangemouth empties, passing at 1807 with still 7804 in charge. Then would be the return of the Elderslie trials, now 4D13, the 1500 from Grangemouth Docks to Elderslie, again 66503. Later on that night this train would then run empty back to Crewe as 4M82. The day after on the 7th, and it is yet another action-packed week ahead, with first the Branchline Society's weekend in Scotland, with the first tour being the International Rescue, which would bring up 7 coaches of the Riviera set on 1Z36 from Derby here to Linlithgow, where the train then changes its head code to 5Z36 from Linlithgow to Bo'ness Exchange sidings. 57305 would be providing the power. So a train to Bo'ness, well, went right by it. Here it is now again at Cumbernauld at 1828. So why is this train going on a bit of a jolly? Well, there is no crossovers to get from the up line across to the Bo'ness Exchange sidings, and with no rear loco attached for a reversal at Polmont, the train would have to go round to Springburn in Glasgow to double back on itself, seen here one last time at Crewe around 1910. Now the day of the beginning of the main tour on the 8th, and this tour is called the Because We Can, which is in partnership with the Martin House charity. This is the train at Bo'ness Station on its first small leg of the journey, where the passengers would be getting an enjoyment of Bo'ness resident 27001 for haulage up to Manual. 27001 with these BR Blue Mark 2s and Mark 1 is certainly quite a nice sight. Departure at 10:30, 37403 on the rear. Or well, maybe a departure. Want to maybe try that again? Then this is the Kinneil Incline around 7 minutes later. After arrival at Manual, 27001 would detach and 37403 would then form 1Z36, the 1113 from Bo'ness Exchange sidings to Edinburgh Waverley. This is the approach to Linlithgow station at around 11:25. Then this would be Park Farm after the departure from Linlithgow Loops, and well, the wind is certainly ruining the noise a little here. Then after a run round the Edinburgh suburban line and departure from Waverley, this is just to the east of Polmont, where upon departure from Bowness Loops, the train is now 1Z37 Edinburgh to Fort William, passing at around 13:33. Then finally for the first day of the tour, this is Lenzie at 14:13. A jump to Sunday the 10th now for the southbound leg of the tour. This is County March with working 1Z40, the 0815 from Fort William to Wemyss Bay, passing at around 15:50. Then this is the arrival into Crewe and Largs station at 15:21. This would then be Glen Douglas at 16:07. Then this is the arrival into Wemyss Bay station at around 18:54. The folk from the tour, plus just general spotters that came down to see 403, made for quite a crowd, and whilst most of the attention was on 403, creeping in would be OZ40, the 1655 from Moss End to Wemyss Bay 66776. The train would then form 1Z41, the 1920 from Wemyss Bay to Glasgow Central, actual departure at 19:39 due to a slight problem releasing the brakes. Leaving the Tour to head to Bo'ness, it was to bed early that night to be up before the Cockerels on Monday the 18th to see 37 175 and 254 double-heady engineers train. This is bowling before the station lights had turned on, working 6k Ted, the 0454 from Craigiedoran Junction to Millerhill, passing it around 0505. Then seen once again at Coatbridge Central, now at 0558. The interesting moves just kept on coming in March. Wednesday the 13th now, and Rail Adventure would make their second appearance in Scotland. This is Green Falls with 6x44, the 1152 from Crewe Basford Hall to Bo'ness Junction Exchange, 43 465 and 484 with a rail vac. Taking a break from Rail Adventure now, and it's over to suburban Glasgow at Dalmuir on the 13th, with some ground being broken for 37254 with the Loco's first visit to Fort William on the Freightliner working OZ20, the 0717 from Millerhill, opening up at 10:33. Friday the 15th now, and we re-pick up with Rail Adventure at Bo'ness. The reason for this rail vac move to Bo'ness was for the engineers conference that showcased the different technologies and techniques that are used to maintain the main line for engineer and possession workings. Power cars 484 and 465 are seen holding up the yard and awaiting a path to shunt. However, what are they waiting for? Now, the series may be called Trains Around Scotland, but can you really call this a train? This is a on-track excavator that was returning down the branch from the engineer site that was on the incline to Burke Hill. Then after that obstacle is out of the way, the stopboard comes down and the power cars proceed to shunt onto the rail vac. And then finally departure from Bo'ness station at around 11:13. Then finally, this is Linlithgow, where the train is now 6x45, the 1152 from Bowness Exchange sidings to Crewe Basford Hall, with now 43465 leading 484. Early morning now on the 21st, and as you may be able to hear in the distance, the approaching sound of a pair of Class 37s. This is the first of hopefully a few Class 37 workings for engineer trains in Scotland this year. This one 6K01, the 2358 from Millerhill to Tyndrum Upper, 37405 and 610. This is Helensburgh Upper around 0218. Then of course Helensburgh Upper is the bottom of the West Highland line, so the driver turns off the GSMR in 37405 and switches to the onboard portable RATB and then departs at 0221. The same day only being around mid-afternoon at 3 o'clock now in the Highlands itself, where we see one of the engineer trains being propelled into the end of the possession. Working 6K03 would be the 2200 from Tyndrum Upper to Millerhill, 66571.
Sure.
571 would then wait here at County March until it's time to move round to Tyndrum Upper. Moving round, this is Bridge of Orchy Station, where we find the main event 37405 now top and tailed with 37610 about to be propelled round to County March. The morning of the 22nd now, and we get the sight of the third and last engineers train that we have to see, working 6K02, the 0001 from Tyndrum Upper to Millerhill. A nice colour mix-up of 66418 and 66302. This is Gourock at 0047. Of course, we can't quite leave it here. This is the last chase for the 37s. Still 6k01, the supposed to be 0200 from Tyndrum, however ended up being the 2306 from Tyndrum. This is Helensburgh Upper at around 0136, 37405 still top and tail 610. And then finally this is Rob Royston at around 0235. Friday the 29th now, and it is the weekend of the Push Pull tour that would come to Scotland in March. However, first this is the Clyde Valley with 4S43, the 0625 Daventry to Moss End, passing at 1302, 88005 and 68005. This is Bodsbury. And then here is the main event of the day, 1Z60, the 1040 from Crewe to Edinburgh, 47712 with the DBS 09707 on the other end. This is still Bodsbury at 1411. And then this is the support loco for the weekend, OZ60, the 1309 from Carlisle to Dumbarton CE, 47805, this is at 1439. And then the second rail tour of the day, which would end up being the Easter Highlander tour with Pathfinders, working 1Z68, the 0510 from Eastleigh to Abbeymoor, 67005 being subbed at Carlisle for 66034 and 110. This is Castle Hill around 1610. The third and final day of the tour now on the 31st, where we see the tour form 1Z64, the 0825 from Edinburgh to Gourock. This is Greenock Road near Langbank at around 1016. Then after a quick break at Gourock, the train then forms 1Z65, the 1115 from Gourock to Wemyss Bay Junction, signal 73. This is Fort Matilda at 1117 with 47805 leading. Then a reversal at Wemyss Bay Junction, where the train then forms 1Z66, the 1133 to Wemyss Bay. This is branched in at around 11:38. And then this is the delightful station of Wemyss Bay itself. The train arrives in after a stop in Dunrod to let a Scotrail service through at around 12:05. And clearly as well here, some people need to remember where cameras are placed. The train then forms 1Z67, the 1220 from Wemyss Bay to Ardossan signal 025. This is Ardossan town now, where the train has to stop to put the barriers down manually, where it is now 1Z68, the 1313 from Ardossan Junction to Ardossan Harbour. Again, this is Ardossan town at 1341. Of course, with rail tours in Scotland, nothing can ever go smoothly, as at Ardossan town the train would have signalling issues with oncoming Scotrail trains, which would mean forming 1Z70, the 1437 from Ardossan South Beach to Largs. The train would leave at around 15:34, 57 minutes late. This is West Kilbride at around 15:40, with now 47,712 leading towards Largs. And then the final clip of the train. This is upon departure from Largs, in between Largs and Fairlie, where the train is now 1Z71, the supposed to be 1544 from Largs, however ended up being the 1619 from Largs, 47805 leading once more.